Hello, I'm Jackie Lucky, your financial planning maestro. This series of podcasts is aimed at financial planning professionals and also those who are looking to enter the financial planning profession. We will be talking during the podcast about all things Certified Financial Planner certification related, talking to other CFPs around the world, and also we will be dropping in on some new entrants who've just entered the financial planning profession, and we'll be checking up along the way on a regular basis with them to see how they're getting on. I hope you enjoy today's podcast. Hello and welcome. I'm Jackie Lucky, your financial planning maestro. And today we are talking about somebody's very special journey through to becoming a certified financial planner. And I'm delighted to introduce Jamie Little, who is a newly qualified certified financial planner from Bailey Cook Financial Planning. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Very good.
Thanks very much for joining me today. We are going to talk about everything CFP related, aren't we? And all of your journey to get to that point.
Yes, a very eventful journey. Yeah.
Indeed. But so I want to take you back to the very start, which was probably just over 2 years ago now. And tell me a little bit about where you were then and why you decided to join the financial planning profession.
Right. Okay. So I joined the financial planning profession in September 2021. And before that, for the previous, I'd say, 14 plus years, I worked on building sites in people's homes, and I was a heating engineer. And it got to a point where I'd done it since I left school. Initially, I used to love it, passionate about it, and that reflected in my work. But the last 4 or 5 years, I just wasn't happy, and I decided that I'd like to change. I was a bit stuck because I never went to sixth form or any sort of further education university. So I was really undecisive of what I could do and what industry I could get into. But my best friend is a financial planner, and my father-in-law also is a financial planner. And after seeing, how my friend particularly got into the industry, and sort of, my father-in-law, how his day-to-day work scheduled like, I thought that could be quite a good industry for me to enter, and some of my skills would be quite transferable.
So what was it? Was there any particular things that you saw in those two people that you kind of liked the look of and thought, actually, yes, I could do that?
Probably, yeah. Like I said, the transferable skills were definitely what I could take from my previous job to now. But just the flexibility that they had with their work, they could be office based as well as sort of traveling around and going into people's houses and meeting all people from all walks of life. Maybe the appeal of going to work in smart clothes and not coming home dirty definitely was an appealing factor.
Yeah.
And just also longevity as well. The construction industry is quite, as you probably imagine, a physical work. And I just didn't want to go on any longer, really. I thought that, if I enter the financial industry, I can work for well past my 60s. And not be too strenuous on my body.
Yeah. So once you'd made that decision, what were your steps in order to, obviously you needed to get qualified, you needed to find a job, how did you go about doing all of that?
My first step was to buy RO1, the Regulations and Ethics book, which is enough to put anyone off.
Reading that one.
Yeah, I fell asleep several times reading that. So I thought, because of my age, I was 33 at the time and no experience in the financial industry. I mean, when I say no experience, I mean nothing. I didn't know what a SIP was, a GIA meant, offshore bond, crystallized and uncrystallized meant nothing to me. So I bought the R01 and I just worked my way through it, making notes, and I booked my exam sort of 3 months after buying the book. Failed miserably on my first attempt. But then eventually I think I passed that one. And then I just bought the next RO2, done exactly the same, sort of studied in our third bedroom at the time. I'd get up at 5 o'clock every morning before going to work, studied then. After work, I'd buy podcasts, listen to and from work at weekends, and just basically put hundreds and hundreds of hours in to study all the RO exams. And then once I'd passed 4 of my exams, then I started looking for work.
Right.
I'd done that just because I thought that I didn't want people to view me as, some sort of middle-aged man wanting a career change. He's fed up at work. I wanted them to sort of see and realize that, I wasn't taking this lightly. I'm completely committed and self-funding it.
Yeah.
And then by the time I think 3 weeks before I actually started work, I'd passed RO6, so I had my diploma, which is fantastic. And my employer thought, they really admired that I was able to do that without any industry experience. But I just thought that would show them, that I was completely committed to becoming a financial planner.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what job did you get? Were you an administrator, or you went straight in as a paraplanner?
I think my role was trainee technical support. So initially, for the first 3 months, I just learned all the back office procedures, I guess, anything, opening post, answering the phone, all the stuff that you need to know and how to do to be able to progress to the next step, of how things work behind the scenes. Which I found quite difficult, being honest with you. Not the making cups of tea and coffee, but going back to the start again.
Yes.
I think going from a position where on site, on plumbing, I sort of manage teams and sort of direct people and train people, going back to sort of asking for the most sort of simplest task was quite difficult. And it's not an ego thing. I think it's just more of a imposter syndrome, really, and that's what I think of of asking, being scared to ask, which is silly now when I say it out loud. But that's one thing. If I could advise anyone, is just ask for help at all times.
Yeah.
It's just luckily for me, the company I work at, they're really helpful, and no question was deemed as silly. It was just sort of helping me on my way.
Yeah. And you've got to learn sooner or later from somewhere and someone, haven't you? So, if you don't ask, and I think people appreciate you asking. I remember back in the day when I was many, many moons ago, when I was a lot younger, I used to go to people and I used to have the imposter syndrome like you a bit. And I used to say, "Oh, can I ask a silly question?" And they'd be like, "Oh, Jackie, for goodness sake, no question is a silly question." And I just kept it up for years and years. And of course, my questions, as I knew more, my questions got more and more complicated, but I'd still say the same thing. And they'd be like, "For goodness sake, Jackie, just pack that in," So we've all done it, I think.
Yeah.
We've all done it. So what happened after that? So you spent 3 months then kind of learning the ropes, and then what happened?
Then I was moved into power planning to work. So I worked alongside our in-house power planner, Kat, who for roughly around about a year, I think, 9 months to a year. Initially just doing sort of simple letters, working up to like fund switches, bed and ISAs, bed and sits, all those sort of things, and then onto reports, more sort of simple reports initially, and then pension transfer reports, etc. So working my way up to like bonds and things like that. So really, I'm lucky enough to have a real sort of wide scope of work to do alongside Kat.
Yeah.
And then I'd say around September 2022, then I'd start going out and shadowing my 2 directors, who are the other financial advisors at our firm.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so I just observe how they hold meetings, the fact find, etc., and then come back and do my own file notes, training file notes, and just sort of learn that way.
Oh, fantastic. So, I mean, it sounds like you've got a great support network around you with Kat and, the directors of the business who, were 100% committed to you after you being 100% committed to them.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm really very, very lucky to have of going from thinking I wouldn't be able to get the job to being where I am today is incredibly lucky. So now going back to the imposter syndrome, sometimes driving into work, I think this is actually me, my life now. It
Yes.
sounds ridiculous, but yeah, it's hard to believe sometimes.
Oh, well, I mean, it's a really great inspirational story to share with people that, never giving up. And actually, there are firms, good financial planning firms out there who will hire people who decided to, change their line of work, kind of mid flow, and give you that break, because quite often all you need is one person to give you a break, isn't it? And it was, you were very fortunate to find Bailey Cook, who did that for you.
Definitely, yeah, couldn't agree more.
So once you got your diploma, you then, you cut your teeth becoming a paraplanner, starting to learn about how to write reports. So in such a short time frame, then you started to embark on more advanced exams. And, how did you come across the Certified Financial Planner?
Well, I wasn't even aware that the CISI actually existed until another outsourced power planner, who's also called Kat. She suggested that I look at the CFP route. So annoyingly, well, not annoyingly, I've already done the diploma of the CII, and then I had to start the diploma of the CISI. Initially, I'm only joking. Initially, it was annoying, but it was actually quite a blessing in the end. But so yes, I had to do my 2 exams to get the investment advice diploma, and then moved on to the level 6, and then completed a level 7 this year.
And so tell us a little bit about the level 6. So that's the advanced financial planning exam as part of the pathway to gain your CFP certification. How did you approach the study for the level 6 exam?
The level 6 exam was, I wouldn't say it was easy. It comes with 3 parts. So initially, the part A is short questions, or multiple choice, sorry. And then I think the middle part is short questions. And then the end part is sort of a long 2 questions, but you can answer either one. So it's worth 20 marks.
Right.
I did well on, I think, the first 2 parts, but the bit where I had to sort of a written answer of the 20 marks, I thought that I'd done awful on that, because I wrote a paragraph by the time had run out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I think luckily I'd done quite well on the calculations and the other answers, fortunately, and I passed on that go. Yeah.
Congratulations. That was great going, wasn't it? I bet you were sweating a bit on that one.
Yeah, I did. And I must add that on my diploma, I didn't pass all the exams the first time. I passed one of them, the financial planning exam, but the other one I took, I can't remember what one it is now, but I passed on my 3rd time.
Wow.
And if I would have failed that, then that would have pushed all my plans back to sit the exams that I'd set out.
Yes.
So luckily, yes.
So you had a grand plan going on in the background, did you, to gain your CFP?
Yeah, I did. When I first joined, Charles, one of my directors, he said that you should make sort of a plan. And initially, I made a plan to be either chartered or CFP by 23/24. And he said it's great, but he said it's too vague. He said you need to set it in stone, because otherwise you can just push things back and go, I'll sit that next time, and then it just gets pushed back. So luckily, I set in my goals were to be CFP by the end of 2023. So luckily, you made that.
Yeah, yes. Excellent. Well, so let's finish the journey then. So you passed your level 6 advanced financial planning exam, and then did you go straight on to get the case study for the level 7 part?
I think I more or less did. I think, or I may have missed out one sitting just to give me a break from studying.
Yes.
Just because it's such a short time frame I've done it in. Probably I wouldn't advise anyone to take the study schedule that I did. It's probably not the healthiest way of doing it. But anyway, yeah. So I think I purchased my exam in start of December, I think it was. My level 7 case study.
Yeah, end of November. Yeah, start of December.
End of November. That's it. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah. So I waited apparently to receive all my case study through, and then when I received it, I panicked. It was a crazy panic stage, yeah.
Well, of course, that's the kind of big report, isn't it? The financial plan that you've got to create with all
Yes.
these conflicting objectives for the client.
Mm.
So, and is that when you found me then after panicking?
Yes, I was just about to say you'll know full well that I panicked, because I think I messaged you on very late December, wasn't it? Thinking,
Yes.
I need help quick. I don't know what to do. I need to speak to you now. And luckily, you're more level-headed than me, and you said, just relax, Jamie. Enjoy the Christmas break, have a read through, get to know your client inside out, and then come back to me in the new year, and then we'll go through things, which was excellent advice.
Good. And so you went on a course.
Yes.
How did you find all of that?
Fantastic. I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you now, but it was brilliant. And I don't think, especially the Excel bit, I don't think I would have got to the stage of it being anywhere near being able to submit it.
Yeah.
And the way you broke everything down was really easy. You could work through it at your own pace. It was just fantastic.
Good. And does it help going through all of that coursework and the process? Has it helped clarify why you were doing what you were doing with your reports when you were helping Kat, build those reports?
Definitely, yes. And I'd probably, doing the case study now, it's probably enhanced our own reports and sort of the letters that we're doing now, and even sort of the advice that I'm getting when I go to see clients.
Okay. How do you think it's enhanced them?
Just in more depth, really, and just to see, it incorporates all aspects of financial planning. So it just really highlights how certain life events can affect other, like a well thought out plan or a plan that you've made, and then creating scenarios. It just highlights, you're not covered for this, or this might happen, and the knock on effect of each life event or things that might pop up. And also the importance to just short, medium, long-term goals, all of which need different approaches and sort of different products suit different objectives.
Yeah.
So as a whole, really, I think it's definitely helped me. And being very new to the industry, I'm glad that I've done this now, because that is just the way I will work moving forward. So I've not got any bad habits to change.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. That's lots of people say that going through this process, whilst it's not easy, it's worthwhile when you come out at the other end, and you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. It's the feeling when you get that email to say that you've been successful is it's fantastic.
And so, thinking about the case study, were there any particular aspects of the case study that you found the most challenging?
I'd probably say, again, the Excel spreadsheet, because I'm used to doing using a cash flow modeling software.
Yeah.
Doing it manually was quite difficult, especially the formulas, again, which you know of, because I asked for your help a bit on there.
Yeah.
But doing it the way on Excel, personally, I think it really accounts for everything, and your assumptions are, the assumptions that you make, you have spent weeks on those assumptions, which really is the foundation of the whole report.
Yes.
That was quite difficult to get, but once you'd mastered them, and then that just flows through the report, I think that made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But but I'd say, definitely, I think if anything was the Excel bit, but that's where your course came in, so handy.
Yeah. Came into its own to help you along the way. Yes.
I think I'd still be doing it now if I didn't do it.
No, you wouldn't. Not if you're on my course meeting. So, how many hours in total do you think that it took you to complete that level 7 case study? Because, I normally say to people that you're looking at a minimum of 150, 200 hours probably. Is that the kind of rough ballpark figure that you had in mind, or did it take you a little bit longer, do you think?
It took me longer than that, but that's not to say that it shouldn't take other people less. I think that it probably took me longer just down to my lack of experience.
Which is natural,
probably,
you know.
which is completely fine. I'd probably say pushing towards 300 hours is probably more of a sensible guess.
Yeah. But I think also, you know, for some of the aspects, I know you well enough now to know that when you came across a problem, you kind of went away and read around the subject, a bit more delving, a bit more thinking time, you know. So I think all of that's factored in as well, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And on my first submission, I wasn't successful, but luckily I was able to, or I qualified for the rapid resubmission.
Yeah.
So I went away and spent another sort of, I'd say 20 plus hours just going through it, making sure that I haven't missed anything. And then, resubmitted, and luckily I passed on my second attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. When you look back now and think, you know, how far you've come in the last, 3 years or so, you must be immensely proud of your determination and, your thought process and, your methodical process to the way that you've approached all the exams, but also, the toughest exams that there are available in the UK as well.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, and I think it's quite hard now. I'll be eligible for CFP in December because of the year experience.
Yes.
But it is sometimes nice to just look at that certificate and then look back at my RO1 certificate and think, all the exams that I've passed since then. And the hundreds and hundreds of hours that have got into that, and and my wife's patience as well.
Yes, absolutely. She's definitely been a huge support for you along the way, hasn't she? So which has been fantastic. Yeah. And I think you do need that support around you, to keep you focused and, to be flexible when you're saying, or like, when you failed your first submission for the level 7 case study and you were like, I just need to get this sorted out. I'll just see you next weekend kind of thing. And lock yourself in the spare room.
Exactly that. Yeah. It was just a case of, getting it done. Looking about my old the certificates that I've got on the exams. I mean, when I used to pass an exam in my study, I used to hang blue tack to the wall, because then the next time when I did fail another exam, I beat myself up for a day and think, you would never do this, you can't do that, and then after a day I just pick myself up again, look at the exam and say, well, you passed one, why can't you pass another? And then I've just done that over and over again. Until you sort of start to believe in yourself and you can do it.
Yeah. And, and that's a fantastic attitude to have, because, I don't know if you listen to like Stephen Bartlett's podcast and things like that, but, he always talks about, the more likely you are to succeed will be determined by the number of failures that you've had along the way, because they're the ones that they teach you a lesson, they teach you resilience, so your ability to be able to pick yourself up and dust yourself down, give yourself a talking to if necessary, and let's get back on the horse and get on with it, it's a very important quality that you need to have, in life generally, but I think particularly in the financial planning profession, when you've got so many exams that you've got to sit, before, you feel like you're kind of getting somewhere as far as giving advice to a client goes.
Yeah.
So it's a massive achievement for you. It's something I'm sure you'd be very proud of. So looking back now you've had a few months to digest everything that's happened. Looking back on your approach to financial planning, how did you approach going back to Baillie Cook and saying, right, I've been through this now, I'd like to make some changes, I'd like to do things a little bit differently. How did you approach all of that? Because obviously now you kind of create a slight disconnect from where you were to, you kind of pushes you on, makes you jump across a bit of a gap once you've gained your level 7.
Yeah. You mean going back to and sort of going over our reports and seeing how we can implement that?
Yeah.
Just, I guess, enhancing the amount of detail, covering just, I said all aspects, but everything. And there's not just, one of the questions we ask when we meet clients, you've got wills and LPAs, and like your valid will, and have you got LPAs in place? it's not just why, like ticking a box, have you got that? It's explaining why do you need that and what the implications of that going forward. If you were to pass away without a will, how does that affect your family now? Putting one in place, what will that protect you against? Then, I said earlier about the short, medium, long-term goals and different approaches of investment, and if how much risk to introduce, accessibility is with their money, when do they need it and why do they need it for? And really just, I say to a lot of clients, everyone's got pensions and ISAs, etc. Is what do you want to do with those pensions and ISAs that really matters? Money is just an object to set, meet your objectives, isn't it? At the end of the day. So we always start there. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And then we work back towards the pensions and ISAs, etc. and whatever products they need.
And going through all of that, obviously you would have gone back to, the staff at Baillie Cook and said, I'd like to, elaborate on the reports to improve them. How did that conversation go? Was that met, with open arms, or was kind of, well, we've done it this way for the last 17 years?
No, they're complete open arms. Andrew and Charles, my bosses there, they view Baillie Cook, and they say at every team meeting that it's not their business, is everyone's business, is our business. Any improvement that can be done or anyone's suggestions is all taken on board and discussed openly. Charles said, if we're not improving, we're standing still. And it's not ever met with any what's the word?
Any resistance or anything?
Resistance, no, it's always welcomed.
And I think you might have not know, but there are other firms out there where a conversation like that would be met with resistance. So I think actually it's also important for directors of financial planning firms to understand that as your two directors have said, it's about developing and being the best that you can be as a company as well, isn't it? To give that best service to the clients.
Definitely, yeah. And then, without clients, you don't have a company. So it's, they are the most important things for us. And if they, if we're evolving as a company and improving everything we can, is this going to reflect on their experience with us?
Yeah. Well, Jamie, we are nearly at the end of our conversation today, but I wanted to ask you that looking back now on your journey right through to and including becoming certified financial planner, there are plenty of people out there listening to this podcast who will be saying to themselves, well, he's done it, I can do it. So what advice would you give to people who are thinking about embarking on their journey to become a certified financial planner?
Yeah, you're definitely right there. If I can do it, then anybody can do it. Trust me. I'd say first one would be, don't try to rush through it. Just create, draw up your study schedule and stick to it. It definitely does help being in the job or experiencing these things day in, day out. That does help, but it doesn't mean that you can't start your CFP journey. Second, I'd say don't be afraid to ask for help. Of course, it has to be your own work, the case study, but it doesn't hurt, speaking through your plan and suggestions with people who have much more experience than yourself. Enroll on one of your courses. That's what I definitely say.
Thank you.
And thirdly, I spoke to some other CFP professionals and asked about their experience and how they found it. I connected with quite a few on LinkedIn and booked sort of a quick 10-15 minute conversation with them, and just asked how they approached it, how they felt about it, has it benefited them and their career. And they were all really willing to speak to me and help me out, which I found really helpful and reassuring.
Yeah. And the great tips. And I think it's great that there's a community of other CFP professionals who are willing, to share their experiences and, because sometimes you need that vision of, hear what somebody else thinks of it in order to think, am I wide of the mark? Or am I just going a bit mad here, or I'm going to absolutely go for it?
All of the above, I think.
All of the above. Well, on that note, we've run out of time. Jamie, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
It's my pleasure, Jackie. Thank you so much for your time. And also, thank you for your help through everything.
It's really interesting, isn't it, to listen to different people who have different experiences of gaining their certified financial planner certification, or maybe developing the financial planning profession at large. If you know anybody who you think might be interested in listening to any of these podcasts, then please do pass on our details. That's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. See you again soon. Bye for now.